Welcome back to the second episode of Nap Time. Today we're going to talk about the MLB All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby, and we're also going to go over Juan Soto maybe being traded at the deadline. We're also going to talk NFL and the upcoming season. We're going to talk about the Eagles, our most important players, what we think the Eagles can do. I'm going to bring on a special guest to help me discuss this NFL season. But make sure you guys check out episode 1. Episode 1, we talked about MLB, the Phillies, and we also talked about the NBA and the Sixers upcoming season. But I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get started. All-Star Game was this past weekend, and it was a blast this weekend watching everything. The All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby. Those are the only two things that go down on All-Star Weekend. And the Futures Game. I didn't tune into the Futures Game, but honestly, it was cool looking at the highlights of some of those players that are going to be the future of this league. But let's take a look at the All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby. First, we'll start with the Home Run Derby. Juan Soto is your champion, but we'll go round by round. Starting in round 1, you had Julio Rodriguez and Corey Seager started off. I'm looking at the results right here. That's why you're going to see me looking down a lot. But Julio Rodriguez put on a show in the first round. He had 32 home runs, and he beat Corey Seager, who had 24. And so that was entertaining to watch, that rookie go off in that first round. Corey Seager was not expecting 24 out of him, in all honesty. But, hey, he got that 24. Wasn't enough to win it because 32 is insane in a round. That's what Julio Rodriguez had. Looking at the next matchup, you had Pete Alonso versus Ronald Acuna. And this one was close. Didn't go into extra time, but Pete Alonso, who was the defending champion of the past 2 home run derbies, beat Alonso by 1. Pete Alonso had 20 home runs, Ronald Acuna 19. I mean, good matchup. Was not expecting that low of an amount from Pete Alonso in the first round, but hey, he had 20 and he still won. So whatever it takes to win, that's fine. The third matchup was Juan Soto versus Jose Ramirez. Juan Soto had 18 home runs. Again, another close one. Jose Ramirez had 17. Juan Soto squeaks it out against Ramirez and takes the win. It doesn't matter how many home runs you hit as long as you have more than the other person. That's all that matters. As long as you win, you keep advancing. And then the shocker from that first round was this final matchup, the 1 versus 8. Albert Pujols at 8, Kyle Schwarber at 1. I was expecting Kyle Schwarber to come out, maybe hit like 26 home runs. He only hit 19. Compared to Albert Pujols, who had 20. And this one in the extra time. Both had 13 after the normal amount of time, after the first 3 minutes, and then it went to an extra minute. And Pujols hit 7, Schwarber hit 6 in that final minute, so Pujols took the win. People claim that it was rigged and that they didn't count one of Schwarber's home runs because they wanted to see Pujols move on, but I think that's BS. I think, honestly, it was just a miscount, and he did actually have 19. So I think Kyle Schwarber did lose fair and square, which is unfortunate. That's just a disappointment from Kyle Schwarber. I was expecting him to come out and win this thing, honestly. Maybe win this thing. But, hey, he got eliminated first round, so we'll move on to round 2. Round 2, Julio Rodriguez versus Pete Alonso. A lot of people like Pete Alonso, again, to win it, to three-peat. This rookie, Julio Rodriguez from the Mariners, comes in. He hits 31 bombs against Alonso. Felt no pressure against him, and he upset him. So Pete Alonso, who was the past 2-time winner, is now out. Julio Rodriguez had 31 home runs. Pete Alonso hit 22. 31 and 32 in the first 2 rounds for Julio Rodriguez. He hit 63 in the first 2 rounds. I mean, that's ridiculous. So this rookie is putting on a show in this home run derby. So the future of this league is in really good hands, especially with a kid like that. And another kid like Juan Soto, who had 16 home runs, compared to Albert Pujols' 15. Again, not a lot of home runs in this round, but it got Juan Soto the win. So he moves on to the championship to face Julio Rodriguez. Both these players really young. And Juan Soto might be out of Washington soon, but we'll talk about that later. But now you have Juan Soto versus Julio Rodriguez in the final round. Julio Rodriguez, again, 63 home runs. And he only comes out with 18 home runs in this final round. And Juan Soto went second in this because he was a higher seed. Walked it off and hit 19 home runs to beat Julio Rodriguez. You're not going to keep going after you hit the winning home run. You're just going to win it right then. So Juan Soto hit the winning home run. I'll show his home run really quick, his winning home run. But yeah, so it was entertaining to watch it. But Juan Soto and Julio Rodriguez, 2 really, really young players. Juan Soto, I think he's 23. He's the second youngest to ever win it. First national win since Bryce Harper. And Julio Rodriguez, I think, would have been the youngest if he did win it. but he didn't. But he still came out and he felt no pressure as a rookie to put on a show for that all-star crowd. So it was amazing to watch that. Shows how good this future is. I know it's only home run derby, so it's like a bullpen practice, but you know, it was fun to watch. A lot of players that you would see, like Aaron Judge, he's leading the league in home runs. He doesn't do it because a lot of people think this affects their swing. They're doing this home run derby. You saw it with Shohei last year. He did it. He was the one seed. He wasn't as great in the second half, but he was still very, very good in that second half. But he wasn't able to find that same swing. But hopefully none of these players fall off in the second half, and they can keep up their talents that they're doing in the first half, especially Schwarber. I really hope he can keep it up, maybe even get his average up. But you might see him lose confidence because he lost that first round, but I don't think he will, honestly. I think he's going to keep hitting dingers for the Phillies, but that's just what I'm hoping. So let's move on to the All-Star game here. The All-Star game was low scoring. It started off early. NL took a 2-0 lead. I think Paul Goldschmidt hit a home run off McClanahan. And I think it was an RBI single by either Betts or Acuna to drive in someone. I'm not really sure who. But they went up 2-0 in the top of the first, or bottom of the first, I should say. And it was 2-0 for a little while, I think, until the fifth, when Giancarlo Stanton tied it up with a 2-run moonshot in the left center field.
That ball is hammered to left center field. Goodbye. 2-run shot. Tie game. Right up to where he used to sit as a kid coming to games here at Dodger Stadium.
And it's going to be exactly what I just said. We're going to see this replay. He doesn't move.
And then Buxton was up after him, and he took one in the left field. And Stanton and Buxton went back-to-back to give the AL the lead.
He turns on a ball and hits it a mile. Byron Buxton puts the AL in front. 2 mammoth home runs.
And the thing with the NL is they had, I think it was 4 hits, I think, in the first inning. And then for the rest of the game, they only had 1 hit, and it was by Austin Riley, I think, in the bottom of the 8th. Could be wrong, but they had 1 hit for the rest of the game. That just shows how good that AL pitching is as well. You saw some of those guys that pitched. Cortez pitched. Clay Holmes pitched. The Orioles guy pitched. Jorge Lopez. Clase closed it out. I think he struck out the side. Gregory Soto pitched. But they all did very well pitching, except for the Cy Young favorite, which was McClanahan. So, the AL pitching was really good, but the NL hitting was really, really bad as well. Like, I know it's really hard to hit all-stars. Don't get me wrong, like that. But these guys are also all-stars, and they face these guys on a constant basis. So I feel like you got to get more than 1 hit in 8 innings. It's not like this game matters or anything. It's just an all-star game. But this is the 9th consecutive year that the AL has won the all-star game. They haven't lost since 2013, I guess. Something like that. I have to fact check that, but I guess since 2013. But AL's low-key a dynasty, so it doesn't do anything for them, but they're beating the NL all year, so every year, so hopefully the NL can switch that up next year, but it's not for another year, so we'll have to find out. Moving on, I want to talk about Kyle Schwarber's letdown in the home run derby. Not just briefly, I just want to talk about it, but it was very, very shocking to me. I don't know how he only hit 13 home runs in 3 minutes. I mean, don't get me wrong, it wasn't just him. His pitcher was really, really bad. If you go back and look at it, him trying to hit, his pitcher was pathetic out there. It looked like he was throwing them at his chin. Looked like he was throwing them very, very low at times too, way outside, way inside. I mean, his pitcher was so inconsistent. He wasn't giving it where Schwarber can usually hit him. So I think that's why you saw Kyle Schwarber not hit as many. A lot of people are saying he did it because he wanted to see Pujols move on. But I think Kyle Schwarber's going in there to win. I don't think he's letting himself lose. I don't think any player is doing that. I don't care how much of a legend the other person is. I know I want to do that. But I think Kyle Schwarber's going in there to win that thing. But his pitcher was really bad, and he couldn't get a hold of some of the balls that were being hit that were being pitched to him. So that's why he only had 19 home runs in 4 minutes, technically. So it was just sad to watch. I was excited to see Schwarber in this home run derby. I thought he was going to hit plenty. I thought he had a good chance of winning. Again, my pick was Pete Alonso again. But I thought Schwarber could have won it, and then he gets bounced in the first round by a guy who has 7 home runs all year. So you hate to see it, but it was cool to see Pujols move on. That place erupted for him once he did. And Schwarber, he bowed down to Pujols after. So I guess it was cool to watch, but I kind of wish Schwarber won. So now let's talk about the Phillies. Phillies coming off of All-Star break. So they went into All-Star break. They had the 3rd seed, the 3rd wild card spot. I think they have the tiebreaker over the Cardinals because they have beaten the Cardinals on multiple times this year. It was either swept or beat them in the series 2-1, and they split the 4-game series. So they have more wins over the Cardinals than the Cardinals do over the Phillies. So they own that tiebreaker over the Cardinals for that 3rd wild card spot. But now you're kind of hoping this team can move up in that wild card because you don't want to just be bouncing back and forth between that last wild card spot. You want this team to jump the Padres. You want this team to jump the Braves, which I don't think they will, but maybe the Padres is more reasonable. But I want to see this team keep going up, keep building games up, maybe get that 2nd wild card spot. But if not, just get a good lead for the 3rd wild card spot so us Phillies fans aren't stressing the entire time about if they're going to make the playoffs or not. It was nerve-wracking last year. You had a chance to either take the division, and you had the biggest series of the year by far going in that Atlanta needing to win 2-3 games in the series, and you get swept in the series that you needed to win to take that division. So once they swept you, you lost your chance at the division. Once they beat you in that 2nd game, your playoff hopes were gone. You had no shot at making the playoffs. It was the same way a few years ago. They played the Rays in the final series of the year, needed to take 2. It was a 2-game series, but they needed to take both to take a wild card spot maybe, and they got swept again. So this team has been really unclutch. But again, Girardi was the manager then. It's a different manager now. I don't even remember, Rob Thompson. But it's different now. So hopefully this team, we won't have to stress about them winning a final series, and they can go in to that final series already locked up as a wild card, because us Phillies fans can't take the stress anymore. We want to see this team in the playoffs, and we want to see it now. You signed all these guys. You're spending huge money. You finally went over the luxury tax, and you underperforming, yes, but you're still in the wild card race right now. So move up in that wild card so we can see this team in the playoffs and maybe make a deep run. So this next series is against the Cubs. I think they'll sweep. First game, you have Gibson versus Steele. Is that? I don't know who Steele is, but Gibson has been solid his past 2 starts. He's thrown seven innings in his past 2 starts. He's looked really good his last start. So hopefully he can keep that up and maybe have a huge second half. He can dominate in the second half, maybe finally get his ERA below 4. This guy was a trade deadline pickup last year. So hopefully I liked the trade at the time. He hasn't been horrible this year, but he's had his bad starts. So hopefully he can keep up consistently and throw a good game. And then hopefully the offense picks up where it left off. Their last game being against, who was it again? I forget who it was. I have to look really quick. Hold on. The last game being against the Marlins. Their last series being against the Marlins. They swept the Marlins, which never happens actually, especially in Miami. They won 2-1, 10-0, 4-0. So your past 2 games have been shutouts. So hopefully they can keep that offense up with Gibson on the mound. And then the second game, you have Marcus Stroman versus Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler up there in the Cy Young voting. He's been very good this year. He's going to prove why he should have been an All-Star, and I think he can get up there in that battle for Cy Young. Hopefully hopefully Alcantara falls off, and then Corbin Burns falls off as well, and Wheeler can come up. But those guys are really, really good pitchers, so I don't think you're going to see them fall off because they have been dominant. So Zach Wheeler, this might not be a Cy Young year, but he's having a Cy Young year, but he's not going to win it like last year. But he's having a really good year. He's 8-5, 2.89 ERA. He's going to come out in the second half, and he's going to show everyone why he should have been in the All-Star game. I think he's going to dominate in the second half. He might not lose a game. I could be very, very wrong. But I think he comes out, and he becomes a completely different pitcher. I think he shows that he's got to be in that Cy Young talk and that he's a top 10 pitcher in this league, which he is. So hopefully my prediction is right. But then Sunday, you close out the series against the Cubs. You play. They have Drew Smyly on the mound. He hasn't been that great this year. He's got a 4.22 ERA, 2-5 on the year, only 40 strikeouts. But I think the Phillies might go bullpen game this game unless Eflin's coming back. I guess that's what they're still trying to figure out, if Eflin is coming back for this game. If not, it'll probably be a bullpen start for the bullpen game for the Phillies. But yeah, I do think the Phillies will sweep this series against a really, really bad Cubs team. That's really what I'm hoping. And then the next series, you have pretty easy series coming up, except for two. These series that I'm looking at, I'm talking like first week of August and last week of July here. But so, like I said, they play the Cubs 3-game series. I think they'll sweep. And you get the Braves at home, which is another huge series, a tough series. But hopefully they can take 2 out of 3, maybe even sweep. But you can't lose that series if you want to gain position in the wild card race. The Braves are teams you got to beat to get that. But I think they can take 2 out of 3 with how this offense has been and how Rob Thompson has been managing them. So I think it's definitely doable to win that series and gain some leverage in the wild card race. And then you face the Pirates on the road. Pirates really, really bad. Like I said in the last episode, they haven't been good for years. So I think you can take all 4 from the Pirates. It's hard to sweep a 4-game series because teams, figure each other out after like 2 or 3 games. But I do think they can. But if not, I think they'll take 3 out of 4 against a really, really bad Pirates team who actually do have a really good future with O'Neal Cruz at shortstop and then other great prospects. Brian Reynolds in center as well. So this team could be good in a few years, but honestly, maybe not though. But the Phillies just got to take that series. I mean, you can't be losing series to teams like that. So hopefully they can. And then you get another series against the Braves. It's a 2-game series in Atlanta. Again, you really need to take that, especially if you win the first series against the Braves. And you face the Nationals at home for a 4-game series. Got to take that as well. You got to take advantage of these really, really bad teams and this easy schedule coming up. Because looking at the rest of the way for the Phillies, it's not too hard. You got a few series against the Mets, though. Those are games you have to win. You have 2 series against the Reds. Got to take those. I mean, Reds are arguably the worst team in baseball. And then you play the Pirates again. I mean, it's not a very hard schedule from what I'm looking at. You play the Marlins multiple times. Giants aren't horrible, but, they're not great either. They're in that wild card contention. Diamondbacks, not great either, but not the worst ever. They're like the best bottom of the low team. Trying to word that right, but they're all the way like in the bottom tier, but like they're probably the best in the bottom tier, I'd say. So you have them in Arizona. And then to close out the year, you face Braves twice in a series. You face the Blue Jays again. Hopefully they can get revenge on the Blue Jays. And then it's Cubs and Nationals and Astros. 2 out of 3 of those series are really, really easy, but it's 3 straight series on the road. So it's not easy they have 9 games in a row on the road. So hopefully they can take like maybe 6 out of 9, I'd say, because they might get swept by the Astros because the Astros are World Series contenders like they always are. But before those series, though, you face the Braves, and I know I'm talking far into the future here, but that Braves series, you have 4 games at home against them. that could be the biggest series of the year. Because this Braves team, maybe the Phillies gain some games on this Braves team, and maybe even the Mets too. So maybe this NL East division becomes a three-team race between the Braves, Phillies, and Mets. Right now, it's between the Braves and the Mets because the Phillies are, I think it's 8.5 games out of first place behind the Mets, and still 5.5 behind the Braves. But I think you win those series against the Braves earlier in the year, and you win series against the Mets for the rest of the coming up, they can compete in the NL East, but it's very, very hard. The only reason you really need to beat the Braves is to gain leverage in the wild card race. But say you beat Braves in the series and beat Mets in the series, then it becomes that situation where they can take the NL East, possibly. Do I think they will? No, I don't think they will, but it definitely becomes very, very possible. But they have a lot of series against the Braves. And this last series against the Braves at home could be the biggest because it could determine if the Phillies make the playoffs or not. They could struggle in the second half. And they would be fighting for that last wild card spot. Say the Cardinals take it. The Phillies are a game out. That series against the Braves is huge. And the rest of the series are huge, obviously. But the Braves series, especially because that's an NL East team. That's one of your rivals. You want to take those games, especially if the Braves are still in that wild card race. You want to take those games, maybe gain them. So that's why that series is going to be huge. All these series are going to be huge, let's be honest. But some are going to be a lot bigger than others, obviously. All the NL East series against the Mets and the Braves are going to be huge. So you really, really want to take those games if you can. Obviously, the Mets are a really, really good team. I mean, they're one of the best top 4, top 5 in baseball right now. And they're the leader in the NL East. They have been all year. So if you can take a series against, they haven't won a series against the Mets this year. But if you can win a series against the Mets this year, maybe the next 2, I mean, it becomes a whole different story for the rest of the season, obviously. So the second half, they just got to be playing their best baseball. They got to take games against the bad teams, and you got to win series against the good teams. You got to either be sweeping or taking 3 out of 4, 2 out of 3 against the bad teams, and you just got to win series against the good teams. That's how it has to be for this rest of the year. You need your pitchers to be very, very good. You need Nolan not to have that second half collapse that he has been known for these past few years. He's really, really collapsed in the second half, mainly in August it becomes. If you look at his August stats become really, really bad. And this team is also known for collapsing in August. So hopefully they don't have that this year. But if they do, I mean, the series is over. It's what they had the past 2 years. You had a playoff race and you collapsed in July, August. It's been hard to be a Phillies fan. So hopefully they don't do that this year. Next thing I want to talk about, though, Juan Soto. So Juan Soto he declined I think it was 10-year, $440 million. I think that's wrong. Might be 15-year, $440 million. But whatever. He declined a $440 million contract. So obviously this opened up room for trade talks now. So I don't think Juan Soto is going to be on the Nationals for the rest of the season. I think he will get dealt before that trade deadline. So where do I think he can go? What do I think are the most realistic destinations? I have a little thing here to help me, discuss. But obviously, so what are the Nats going to want first? Well, first off, they're going to want a lot of prospects. They want young guys that they can develop, help them in the future. Juan Soto is maybe the best hitter in baseball. Maybe. This year he hasn't proved it, but he's maybe the best player in baseball. He's generational talent. So obviously teams are going to have to give up a lot to get a player like Juan Soto. He's 23 and he's already dominant in this league. He already has a World Series. He was a huge part in that team. He was the runner-up in MVP last year. So this guy has a very, very bright future. And not just future, just right now. I mean, he's one of the best in this league. He's maybe the best right fielder in baseball. Probably is the best right fielder in baseball. But Juan Soto, I do not think will be on the Nationals come the trade deadline. So where do I think he can go? Well, let's start off with the Padres. Padres have a lot of guys that a lot of prospects that they can trade for him. They have guys like C.J. Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, who is a rookie, I believe, right now. They can give up those guys, and they can give up a lot of other players. But the Padres said they don't want to give up Tatis. Obviously, they want to pair the two. So I don't think you'd have to give up Tatis to get Juan Soto, but you're going to have to give up a lot of young talent. So would it be worth it? Yes, in my opinion. I think it definitely would be. But if it comes back to bite you in the ass, so be it. If you get that ring that they want, then sure, I'd take that trade all day. The Padres fighting in that wild card spot right now. I think they have the second wild card spot, either second or first. But even without Tatis, their best player, if they add Juan Soto to that team, they maybe have the best lineup in baseball. Probably behind the Dodgers, honestly though. But they have three of the best players right now because Manny Machado is having an MVP caliber season. Tatis is still coming back, and once they get him back, this team could be a lot better. And you add Juan Soto, this team could do some damage on the offensive end. The fielding, Manny Machado is a great fielder, but I think Tatis isn't that good of a fielder, and Juan Soto is a horrendous fielder. So fielding, maybe not that great, but it still could be a very good team, along with Jake Cronenworth too. And then you have your pitchers having really good years. You have Joe Musgrove pitching very well, Blake Snell trying to figure it out still. But you have these guys that can lead you to a World Series caliber team. Next team, the Dodgers. Obviously, the Dodgers are going to go after him. The Dodgers go after everybody. You look at the splash they made at last year's trade deadline. They got Max Scherzer and Trey Turner from the same team that Juan Soto's on now, the Nationals. Nationals are blowing it up. You thought this team would build around Juan Soto, but now Juan Soto clearly doesn't want to be on the Nationals by declining that contract. So now they're considering trading him. And if he goes back to the Dodgers, the Nationals just gave the Dodgers, Max Scherzer, Trey Turner, and Juan Soto in a span of 2 years. Their three best players in a span of 2 years, which is absolutely ridiculous. This team won the World Series in 2019, this Nationals team. And you look 3 years later now, and this team is losing everyone from that World Series team. It's a complete different team. Josh Bell is probably going to be gone from the Nationals too. He wasn't on that World Series team, but he's going to be gone from the Nationals. I think he's one of the top trade deadline targets right now. He's been one of the best first basemen this year, and he's a switch hitter. Who doesn't want to switch hitting first baseman? So he'll be gone too. So this team is going to be horrendous for so many years. But you trade Juan Soto to the Dodgers, who have a lot of young talent down in the minors, you're going to be set in a few, maybe like 7-10 years. It'll take you a while to get back to that playoff spot. But by trading Juan Soto to the Dodgers, you're going to get a lot of young talent, a lot of prospects that can help this team recover maybe in like a decade or something. But, Dodgers obviously are going to go after him. They have 7 prospects on the top 100 list is what I'm seeing right now. But, so, yeah, obviously this Dodgers team has the pieces to trade for Juan Soto, and of course they have the money for Juan Soto. It's LA. They're definitely going to have the money. But, yeah, I think, if any, that's my guess to get Juan Soto. And at that point, that lineup's already stacked enough. They get Juan Soto, that lineup's even more ridiculous. I do think the Dodgers will trade for him, though. That's my prediction for where he's going to go. Yankees, of course, are in on Juan Soto as well. I'm not sure what the Yankees would give up. I don't know what they have. I'm looking around here. They have that shortstop prospect, Anthony Volpe. They would have a really good outfield in Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is already a really good fielder, so they don't need Juan Soto to be there to field. They need him there to hit. But it would be a lot of money. First off, you would be paying Juan Soto, Giancarlo, Judge, Cole, and Judge might be gone too. We gotta talk about that. Judge could be gone last year. I'll play his interview from the All-Star game.
The other day, really upset from his school in Astoria. He just came over. He's like, "Are you telling me that Aaron Judge may not be a Yankee after this year?" What do you have to tell to Jacob right there and to all your fans that want you to remain in a Yankee uniform? I wasn't going to put you on the spot. I mean, we're on live TV.
Yeah, no, Jacob, buddy. We got a lot of great Yankees on this team. There are a lot of great Yankees. Be here for a long time, so don't be upset. Don't be upset. Hopefully you'll be a Judge fan for life.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you.
But Judge might be gone. He hinted at maybe leaving. I don't know what people want to assume it as, but it didn't look good. They're still far away on talks, obviously, but what I heard before is A-Rod said it's a 50-50 shot between Yankees keeping him and him leaving. So I think the Yankees should pay him whatever he wants after the year he's having. So I do think he'll stay, but if he leaves, as long as he doesn't come to the NL East, I'm fine with it. But yeah, the Yankees are going to go after Juan Soto. And Juan Soto isn't a free agent until 2024. So what reports are that he's going to test the free agent market most likely, and then he's not going to re-sign right away with the team. So maybe that'll have some teams back off, but that'll also allow a few teams like the Rays to maybe come in and trade for him because they want to make a push now. They want to make this World Series run now. They don't need him in the future. If they win a World Series now, they're fine with it. So that's what a few smaller market teams, Mariners, Rays, those two teams that want to make that big push now. But the Yankees obviously are going to go for him. The Yankees I think, have the second highest payroll in baseball, maybe the highest. I think Dodgers have the highest and Yankees have the second highest. But I think the Yankees won't get him, but I think they'll put up a good fight for him. Obviously, no, I don't want him to go there. I hate the Yankees, but I'd prefer him there over another NL East team. But obviously, I do not think the Nationals would trade a player of that talent to another NL East team, especially this next team that I'm going to talk about, the Mets. I don't think they would trade him to a division rival in the Mets. So I'm really hoping they don't, but the Mets have those guys. They have a catching prospect, I think, that's number 2 ranked. I think he's the number 2 ranked prospect, and they also have a lot of other guys. But I think the Nationals will take that trade, will take and look at that trade and say, no, this is coming from another NL East team. We're not trading generational talent there. So I'm really hoping not, but you never know with this. They definitely could, but I can't see it happening. The other 2 teams on this list are the Rangers and the Blue Jays. So the Rangers signed Corey Seager and Marcus Semien combined $500 million for a lot of years. So that middle infield is really, really good. But Marcus Semien has been underperforming. So has Seager, in my opinion. But this team wants to compete. And right now, I don't think they're in a competing range. They're struggling right now from what I'm seeing. But I think maybe in a few years they can compete. But right now, it's hard to see them competing. Maybe, I'm not sure what they would give up for Juan Soto. I think they have a catching prospect as well. But, they have these really good hitters. Adolis Garcia is really, really young. So add him, keep him in that team. And this team has a shot maybe in like 2 to 3 years to compete. But right now, I don't think they can, honestly. And then the last team, the Blue Jays. Blue Jays want to compete right now. That's my prediction to make the World Series from the AL. But the Blue Jays, if they can land Juan Soto, this team, I think, becomes a World Series favorite. Obviously, they're already, I think it's top 7 in betting. They're plus 1,900 right now. They opened the season as the second best odds. They were plus 550 from what I remember. But this team would be on a different level with Juan Soto in this lineup, along paired up with Vladdy. Both my picks to win MVP, Soto and Vladdy, on the same team. That roster's dangerous. And you got Bo Bichette, who hasn't had that great of a year, but he's still a really, really good player. And then you have Chapman at third. Is it Chapman? Yeah, it's Chapman. You have Chapman at third, who has been a strikeout guy for a little, who's been struggling to, he's been striking out a lot the past few years, but he can open up a game with a home run whenever he wants to, though. And then you have, Teoscar Hernandez, who was an all-star last year, and he's been solid this year. He's a good left-right fielder. He's somewhere in the outfield. He's a really good hitter. He's been hurt a little bit, I believe. And then at second base, I don't even know who they have at second base, honestly. Is it? It's not Biggio, but Alek Manoah has been a really good pitcher for them this year. And then the rest of their starting lineup has been struggling a little bit, but Manoah has been Cy Young caliber pitching. It was really funny to watch him pitch while on the mic in the All-Star game. That was pretty hilarious. That was a great moment. But he's been dominant. He's been very, very good this year. And their bullpen has also been a struggle. But adding Juan Soto to that already dangerous lineup, I think can make this team take that leap and get that team to the World Series. So those are just some of the landing spots for Juan Soto. Obviously, all the teams are probably going to make a call. But I think those are the most likely ones. Do I think the Phillies stand a chance to get him? They have guys, but no. Like I said, they're not going to trade Juan Soto to an NL East team. But, I'd love if they could, but they would need to give up a lot. And, if they somehow manage to get him, I'd be so happy. But they're not going to get him, obviously. I think the chances they get him are 0%, maybe 1%. But I think it's so far that they have almost no shot of getting Juan Soto. All right, welcome back, everyone. Here's my guest, Kenny Del Juice, a good friend of mine, went to my high school. Today, we're going to be talking about the Eagles and the upcoming NFL season. So where I want to start is, Kenny, what's your ceiling and floor for this team? Where do you think this team can go, and what is like the low point for this team?
See, I gotta say their high point with how we're deep now. We're a really deep team. I say our ceiling's gotta be at 12, 13 wins especially with our schedule. Our schedule's just awful, like easy wise. And our floor, I guess this is with like injuries, hurts, terrible, like everything falls apart. I would say 8 wins.
So what's like the max you think this team can go? Do you think this team can win that Super Bowl, or do you think they still need a few more pieces to add on to get there?
As much as I want to say I think we can go all the way and win the Super Bowl, I can't possibly see it yet. Like it's really all on Hurts. If Hurts has a breakout year where he just turns into a star, then yes, I think we're deep enough around to at least have a shot at it.
Yeah, so what I said is I said the same thing for the ceiling. I said like 12, 13 wins. I think they can go that many wins. But that's all depending on that Jalen Hurts performance. If, like you said, if he turns into that star player, I think this team can be really, really good. Maybe take that leap to the Super Bowl, but I don't think this team has it in him. I don't think you're going to see Jalen Hurts take a huge leap. I think you're going to see him grow from last year, become a better passer. But the max I can see this team going is the NFC Championship game. I can't see them getting to the Super Bowl right now. Yeah, I
I
really
agree.
hope they can prove me wrong, but I can't see them getting there. And then my low point for this team, like you said, everything falls apart. Hurts doesn't take another step, and this team is just hurt like they usually are. I can see them missing the playoffs with 7, 8 wins, maybe 9 and missing the playoffs. But that's just where I see this team going. It all really depends on that Hurts performance. So, next thing I want to talk about, we're going to discuss our top 5 most important Eagles going into this season. So, at number 5, Kenny, who do you have?
I have Hassan Reddick. I think that was a big signing. I think he's really at number 5. I have Hassan Reddick. I think that was a huge signing. I love it, but he's got to really prove that he's that guy because he's definitely been a little shaky for me. Like I could see him coming out here and being terrible, but I could also see him coming out here and being one of our key defenders on the team.
At number 5, I also have Hassan Reddick. So I like you said, I think he's a huge signing. He's an underrated signing. He has the 5th most sacks in the past 2-3 years. I think it was behind players like TJ Watt, Aaron Donald, Miles Garrett. So I think that's a big time signing. And it really helps with that linebacker and edge rush position. So I think he's one of the top 5 guys, the most important players going into this season. So at number 4, who do you have as well?
I have Jordan Mailata. I think he is the best contract in football right now, arguably. So on that cheap of a contract, if he comes out and continues to be a great player and develops even further, that's huge. Our O line, I think we would have easily a top 3 O line in the league.
Number 4, I have AJ Brown. A draft day splash, gave up a first round pick for him, signed him to an extension. I don't think anybody saw that trade coming. I know I sure as hell didn't, because I just remember being at school and then not going to say where I was, but I saw the Twitter notification on my phone and it really surprised me that that actually happened because I did not think he was getting dealt. But I think AJ Brown really helps this team with weapons because he not only does he become the wide receiver 1, but he moves Devontae Smith to the wide receiver 2 position. And I think Devontae Smith being there can be dangerous because he's not going up against that number 1 corner. So I think this wide receiver duo is going to be deadly. That's why I have AJ Brown at number 4. So now moving on to number 3, who do you have again?
All right, at number 3, I have Miles Sanders. I know he might not be as important as people think to the team, but I really think this is his last chance to come out and be a good player and show that he's a good player. He's been extremely unhealthy, and I think if he goes down with another somewhat like big injury, that's it. He won't be our number 1 even coming back. I really like Kenneth Gainwell. I totally think that he could have a breakout year, totally steal the spotlight at RB1.
I like that kind of Gainwell take. Number 3, I have Jordan Mailata. Like you said, maybe one of the best contracts in football. So underrated. He's one of the most valuable guys in this league. I think Pro Football Focus ranked him as the number 2 graded offensive lineman last year. And it showed, and he's still really, really young. So this guy is a stud already. And with Lane Johnson at the other tackle, and then you have Jason Kelsey and your guards, this O-line can be really, really good and help Hurts be able to create more time back in the pocket. You just need this O-line to stay healthy for once. And I think that will help Hurts a lot. So number 2, your most important Eagle, who you have?
I have Devonta Smith, and the big reason I have him here is because now that he doesn't have to be that star receiver where he's getting targeted by the best corner on every team, and he's got AJ Brown to be a duo with, he's got to have big numbers, and he's really got to take a big next step. I think he's great already, but he's got to take another big step, I think, especially with all that pressure off of him to be the guy on offense.
Yeah, I like that. I like having Devontae Smith and up there in most important. But again, you have to take into account that he's on his 2nd year, and I get that a lot of year 2 guys make that big leap. So hopefully we can see Devontae Smith. But I don't have him on my list actually. At number 2, I have Miles Sanders. Like you said, this team last year was the number 1 rushing offense, and Miles Sanders really wasn't a big part of that because he was hurt for most of the year. So I think if he comes in this year and this team is still that big rushing offense, if he stays healthy, I think he can create some real damage, especially with Jalen Hurts. You're going to see them do a lot of read options back there. But Miles Sanders has always had an issue with carrying the ball as well. So hopefully he works on that because he's been fumbling a lot. He's a big fumbler. But I think Miles Sanders, if he stays healthy, he can be really, really dangerous in that backfield. I think he can develop into the stud. But like you said, I think he needs to stay healthy to earn that spot and put up great numbers in this big time rushing offense. So
Totally.
now moving on to number one, I think we're going to have the same
I
here.
think it's very obvious who I have here. I have Jalen
Yep.
Hurts.
I also have Jalen Hurts.
The whole season's riding on him.
Yeah.
This is his shot. This is his big chance. We built a great team around
He's got
him.
the weapons around him now.
Now he's got to show that he's that guy.
Yeah. You hear all this talk about him in the offseason working his ass off. This is his chance to show it. You really have to come out and show this. You traded what we thought was our future quarterback to have this guy start, and he's got to prove it this year. He's got the weapons around him in Goddard, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and he's got a great rushing offense as well. He's got a solid coach, and he's got a big-time O-line. He's got a great O-line. So he really has to come out and prove that he can take that next step and lead this team to a few playoff wins in order to keep his spot. Because I think, in my opinion, this is maybe his last chance to prove that he's a starter in this league.
I agree. If not this year, 100% next year, no question.
Yeah, if they don't want to say this is his final year to give him that shot, then next year he's got 1 or 2 years left until this team either drafts a QB or trades for another QB. That's just my opinion. A lot of people are going to have different opinions, but that's my guess. So now what I want to talk about, I want to go through this team's record prediction. We're going to go game by game here, and we're going to give our predictions. We're not going to give points on everything because that's way too much in depth. We're just going to go game by game, what we think, if it's going to be a blowout or if it will be a close game. But so starting off week 1, you play the Lions in Detroit. My opinion, they take this win. I think they take it pretty easily, honestly. I get that this Lions team is a little bit different and maybe a little bit better, but I think they'll take this game easy.
So I think we win, but I feel like we seem to struggle week 1. Had an away game. Not a good team at all, but definitely a little bit better. I don't think we blow them out like a lot of people might think, but I do think we win the game pretty manageably.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're going to blow them out, but I think they'll win by like 7-10 range.
Yeah.
Like somewhere around there. But like last year, they played the Falcons on the road. A lot of people thought the Falcons would win this game, but the Eagles actually came out and blew them out in Atlanta. So I don't think you're going to see a blowout, but I think you'll see a pretty comfortable win.
Yeah.
And then week 2, Monday Night Football. You play the Vikings, and it's your home opener. My opinion, I do think they lose this game.
I think I agree with that. The Vikings, I think we got a little bit of a rivalry with them at this point.
I also agree with that.
So, yeah, I could see them losing this game by maybe a little bit, to be honest. Maybe
go ahead.
Early in the year, Philly fans, we like to jump to conclusions. I think we win week 1, come out week 2, and lose by a good bit, and then the questions start flying. You know how it goes with that.
I can see that. So I think a lot of fans are going to get confident about this team. I think this team's going to get really confident going into the second week, but they got to remember it's the Lions they just beat. But I do think they'll lose to the Vikings. And I think Justin Jefferson will really pop off in this game. I get that they have a lockdown corner in Darius Slay, but Justin Jefferson's ridiculous. I'm so pissed that we didn't draft him. And that's exactly why he's going to go off, because he's going to show why we should have drafted him over Jalen Reagor.
It's basically a revenge game.
Yeah, so I think they'll lose that game. I think they'll maybe lose by a touchdown, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, but yeah, I think they'll be 1-1 after week 2. So moving on to week 3, back on the road, they play the Commanders, and it's Carson Wentz's chance for revenge, but I don't think he'll get it at all. I think the Eagles will take this one.
So I think we beat them this game coming off that loss, but I don't know. Maybe down the road the outcome's a little bit different. So we'll see.
Yeah, because we don't know about injuries yet. We're still months ahead of the season, but I can see them losing this game, but I don't think they will. But I can see it as a possibility. I think the Eagles will take this game by 3 or 4, something like that, pretty close. But yeah, I do have the Eagles moving on to 2-1. So week 4, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence comes to town, and Doug Peterson makes his return to the Philly. And well, I think the Eagles are still going to take it. I think the Eagles fans will cheer for Doug Peterson making his return, but I do think the Eagles will take it over the Jags. I just don't think the Jags are good yet. Still,
I think this got to be like a big statement game for us because other seasons we've been really good, but we still struggle against every team. Like you rarely see us blowing teams out. Like even our wins are always close. I think that we got to show that we're different this year. We're a legit threat, and I think we got to blow them out bad, big win.
all right, I like that. I think this game will be. I think it'll be a double digit win, but not like a double digit win, but not a blowout, obviously. But like it's competitive until like the fourth quarter. The Eagles just pull ahead at the end. So that's what I think will happen in this game, but you never know. Again, maybe Trevor Lawrence becomes ridiculous in his
Breakout
second
year.
year. But
Yeah.
the Jags made some ridiculous signings like that Christian Kirk. They signed him to like I think 16 mil a year or
I
something.
hate that signing.
Yeah, that was a bad signing.
Terrible.
But then so we move on to week 5 and you travel to Arizona. And this in Arizona is where Jalen Hurts, I think, made his first start as an Eagle, maybe a second one. I think his first start might have been against the Saints, actually. But I don't know if you remember the game, but he started in Arizona and he actually put up a ridiculous stat line, and it was a close game, but the Eagles lost that time. I think in this game, I think the Eagles can beat the Cardinals, but I don't think they will. I think it's
Okay.
so I have them going to 3-2, but I think it'll be a really, really close game. But you have to remember D Hop is suspended, so that could make
That's
a
what I was
huge
gonna ask. I
difference.
was gonna ask if he was gonna be out at that point.
Yeah. So I think they'll lose this game, but it'll be really competitive. So I don't know though.
I have them winning this game with D Hop. You said he's gonna be out. Our our corners are, I would say, very above average now.
That's
What
a
other
shocker.
what other weapons do they have on offense?
Well, they traded for Marquise Brown now, who isn't very good, but
Yeah,
he's just a deep threat. And Zach Ertz, but you have them
he's
winning.
getting a little old now.
You got them winning.
I do have them winning. Yeah.
All right, so I have them at 3-2. You have them at 4-1. Let's move on to week 6 at home against Dallas. This, I think, is your statement game. I think 3-2 at this point. I think this is your statement game. I think they come out on Sunday Night Football and they beat the Cowboys and improve to 4-2. And it's not, it'll obviously be a close game, but I think this is the game where they show that they can really compete. I think they'll improve to 4-2 and beat the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football.
All right. I have them losing this game. Unfortunately, we're riding a hot streak now. Everyone's feeling really good. We're like, yeah, we're gonna come out, beat the Cowboys, and then you lose. I
Yeah,
think maybe by more than one score. I don't know. We'll see. I can't see them winning that game. I don't know why, but I can't.
that's fair. So we both have them at 4-2 at this point. We
Yep.
move on to week 7 to bye week. And so obviously they're just going to be preparing for the Steelers. And they play the Steelers at home on my birthday, actually, October 30th. And I don't think the Steelers are good. They definitely fell off after last year. I don't know because the Steelers might be switching quarterbacks by week 8. We still don't know who their starter is. And I
Yeah.
don't think they have one of the best defenses in football, obviously. They have TJ Watt, the reigning defensive player of the year, tied the sack record. But I think the Eagles will win this one by a decent margin too. So I think they'll beat the Steelers. I think they'll improve to 5-2.
All right. I also have them winning. I see it being a very low scoring game. We struggle against their loaded defense. They struggle to do anything because their offense is not very good now, and I think our defense took a huge step up. But yeah, I think we win in a very boring, low-scoring game.
I agree with that. So moving on to week 9, I really feel like we don't have to do much discussion on week 9 at Houston, Thursday night football. This is a really, really lame game. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody except Texans and Eagles fans wants to watch this on Thursday night football. But I'll take the Eagles by a decent margin. I mean, there's really
I
not much you
also,
need to do.
yeah. Well, if they do lose, then I might have second thoughts about their ceiling for the
Yeah.
rest of the season.
Yeah, but I don't think this Texans team is good at all.
No,
Maybe they have their quarterback in Mills, but this team really isn't that good. I really feel like there's not much
no.
argument to do on that one. I
They
think they'll
might
win that.
not win more than 2 games this year.
Yeah. So what do we have them at? 6-2 right now? I think it
Yeah,
is.
I
Yeah.
believe 6-6. Yeah, 6-2. I think.
So week 10, Commanders. Carson Wentz makes his return to Philly. I
Wait, no,
hate
we're on week 10, but we only have 8 games tallied.
wait, uh hold on. So win, loss, win.
I think it's 6-3. We have them at.
Is it 6-3? We had the might be. Well, they had the bye week.
Yeah, but we
Are we
would
bad
still
at
have,
math?
wait. No, you're right. You're right.
Is it 6-2?
6-2. Yeah.
Okay. So Commanders come to town. Again, Wentz makes his return to Philly. I hate to say this, but I think they'll lose this game. And here's why. I think this team will start getting confident after like a 3-game win streak, is what I have them at. And then including the bye week, I think this team will start getting confident, but I think this team will come out too confident because they beat this team. They beat the Commanders the last time, so they're going to take it light. And I think they'll lose this game. But obviously, they can still win. But I don't, if they do win, I think it'll be very close. But I have them losing this game in a very close game.
I also have them losing. I'm a big believer in revenge games, and I don't think the Eagles do very well against players having a revenge game against them. So I think Wentz got to have one out of the two. I think we split with them. Wentz is a big game, but yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly my thought process. That Wentz revenge game, he's going to either be really bad or he's just going to put up record setting numbers.
yeah,
So week 11, we have them at 6-3 going into Indianapolis against the Colts. Frank Reich, old Eagles offense coordinator. This one's tough. I think the Colts and the Eagles are like the same exact team, kind of.
they are a very similar team.
I think I don't really know. I think the Eagles will win this one, but it'll be very, very close. Both teams have good defenses and solid offenses. Yeah, I think the Eagles will win this one in a pretty close game.
I have them winning too. I think Jonathan Taylor is really almost their whole offense, and I think
Well, they got Matt Ryan.
I do. I really love the Matt Ryan signing. I think he does better there than Wentz did, but I don't love their weapons.
Pittman.
Uh, yeah, I like I think Pittman has really good upside and potential, but I don't think the receiving core is there yet. And I think we have a great D line, one of the best, and I think we can shut him down and win that game.
Yeah, I think the Eagles will take that one. So moving on to week 12, Sunday night football. Last year, this game would have been a lot different. This year it's a lot more tight. They play the Packers week 12. This game, the Packers have been very, very good past few years. I think they were the 1 seed the past 2 years, but obviously got bounced in the playoffs like they usually do.
Yeah,
But I think the Packers do win this one. It's in, yeah, it's in Philly. I do think the Packers will win this one, and that's just because Aaron Rodgers is ridiculous. I
yeah.
mean, he won't have Devontae Adams, but I think he still just is ridiculous. He can make any receiver look like a top 10 wide receiver. So I think he'll come out and he'll dominate the Eagles. And I think the Packers will take that one pretty easily.
All right, so I'm gonna differ with you on this one. I think we have a really good record. We're going to be one of the best teams in the league coming up to this, but people are going to start throwing the doubts. They can't be good teams. They have an easy schedule. That's why the record's so good, and that's going to put a chip on the whole team's shoulder. And I think that we could totally come out and beat this team. Well, I think the Packers will still be one of the best teams in the league. I think this is going to be like the biggest statement game of the entire year to make us all believe that they can go on a run in the playoffs.
So we have them at different records right now. I think I have them at 7-4. You have them at 8-3. So we move on to week 13, and they play the Titans. And oh Jesus, I think the Titans offense is solely Derrick Henry, just like the Colts offense is solely Jonathan Taylor. But I think the Eagles win against the Titans. I think they shut down Derrick Henry, and Tannehill isn't that good of a quarterback. And obviously, it's an AJ Brown revenge game. And like we said, we're both big believers in that AJ Brown revenge. We're big believers in revenge games. So I think AJ Brown just absolutely comes out and dominates the Titans. And the Eagles, I honestly think the Eagles can blow out the Titans just because of momentum. So I think the Eagles will come out and blow out the Titans in week 13.
I agree with you. I think we're going to be riding high off that Packers win. I think Derrick Henry is a huge step down this year. I love him as a player, but the way he plays doesn't last very long. So I think the whole team just takes a huge step down. I don't think they're anywhere as good as they've been in the last couple of years. I think that's a game we win.
Yeah. So week 14, they play the Giants in New York. Obviously, they struggled with the Giants a few times, but I don't think they'll struggle this year. I think they'll beat the Giants pretty easily in New York. In this one, I really feel like I don't have to do much explaining. I think it'll be a James Bradbury revenge game. I think he might pick off Daniel Jones, maybe take him back for 6. But I think the Eagles will win pretty easily in week 14.
I agree. I think the Giants will just be awful this year. I hate the Giants.
Yeah.
No bias though. I still think they're going to be awful. Maybe a 3-4 win team. I can't see us losing that game.
So I have them at 9-4. You have them at 10-3. And we move into the Bears game in Chicago. Bears are horrible. I mean, maybe Justin Fields develops, but the Bears are terrible. I think the Eagles take this one.
Well, I believe every good team loses to one terrible team a year, and this is going to be the week where I picked that.
Oh, God.
New coaching. The team's not very good, but every good team loses to a bad team once a year. So this is the game I'm picking.
Jesus Christ.
There's not a lot of reason behind it. It's just kind of like how I don't know. I got a feeling out of it.
I don't like it. I don't like that feeling. But all right. So moving on to week 16 in Dallas. I think I said the Eagles will beat Dallas the first time. So I think they'll lose to Dallas in Dallas. So I think they'll split this series. I think Dallas will be riding high going into this game. I think they'll develop a win streak, but I think Dallas does beat the Eagles in this game. So that's what I got on Christmas Eve.
All right. I got them splitting as well. So I picked them, or they lost the first game. So this is the game where I think they'll win. It's hard to lose after coming off of a Bears loss. I feel like you really got to put some more reassurance into your fans, and I think they come out and beat the Cowboys.
So I believe now we both have them at 10-5. So we move into the final 2 weeks. Final 2 games are against the Saints and the Giants. Saints game, oh my God. They play on New Year's, 1:00, and I think they beat the Saints. They beat the Saints last year. They pretty easily beat the Saints. I don't know if you guys remember the Jalen Hurts juke. I'll put in a clip of that because that juke is just ridiculous.
A big third down. Hurts keeps. Hurts cuts. Hurts has the first down. And Jalen Hurts might have just put it away for the Eagles. Touchdown. His third.
But I think they'll beat the Saints again. I don't think Jameis Winston coming back, Michael Thomas coming back, but I don't think those guys are that good of players. They signed a few guys. There's a lot of people that are high on the Saints team. I'm not high on them. I don't think they're that good, honestly. But I think the Eagles will beat the Saints.
I am a little high on the Saints. I think they'll be a lot better than they were last year. But I still see us winning this game, although it won't be as easy as it was last year.
So, week 18, final week, Giants week. I think at this point, the Eagles and Cowboys are neck and neck for that NFC division title. I think maybe the Eagles got a game or something over them at this point. And if the Eagles win, they clinch the division. If the Eagles lose and the Cowboys win, it's a tiebreaker or something. I don't know, but
I don't know how it works
yeah,
after
neither do
because
I.
if we split and tie with them, then they'd have to go into like the division
Yeah,
games
it's a
in
lot
week
of
one or
things.
something. Yeah,
So at this point, Giants week at home, win to clinch the division, all that momentum. It's a blowout. Eagles win. That's my opinion.
I can't disagree with you. I think that's a huge win to go into the playoffs. Shutting out the Giants on the year, big rival. Finish at 12-5, win the division, and yeah, I think that's how they end it.
So both of us have them going 12-5, I believe. I'll have to
I
rewatch and
I
check.
believe so.
But
Yes.
yeah, I believe we both have them at 12-5. Different losses, different wins, a little bit different record, but we both have them 12-5 winning the division. So now we're going to move on to our season predictions. And first thing I want to talk about, who is your prediction to win the Super Bowl?
Ooh, that's a tough one on the fly. This is a really hot take. All right, so hear me out. The Raiders.
Oh my God.
I think they're due for it. I think they could totally come. There's nothing stopping them from coming out and winning the Super
There's a lot
Bowl.
of things stopping them. There's
I
three
don't
other
think
teams in the
so.
AFC West that are better
All
than
right,
them.
all right. I think 3 out of 4 teams make that. 3 out of 4 teams in that division make the playoffs.
What team doesn't?
The
Broncos?
Broncos.
Okay.
Yeah, Broncos. But yeah, I think the Raiders, if not losing to the Bengals in that last year playoff run, could have gone a lot deeper. I think they easily could have made the AFC championship.
Raiders shouldn't have even been in the playoffs
I
last
don't
year.
care. I think they were riding high. They had the momentum going in.
The
I think
momentum started with the Colts loss.
I think they could have rode the hot streak.
I think it's bullshit how they didn't tie. I think they should have
Yeah,
tied still.
I think they purposely should have as well.
So my Super Bowl winner, not really much of a hot take, honestly. They're the favorites to win right now. I think this is the year the Bills get it. And the Chiefs fell off, obviously, but I think the Chiefs will still be really good. Chiefs fell off. I don't think they have that much competition in the West. Maybe you can call the Browns competition, assuming Watson isn't suspended, but maybe just the Chiefs and the Browns, maybe a few wild card teams. But I think this is the year the Bills get it. Obviously, there's a lot of good East or not East, NFC teams, but I think the Bills are the best team in football right now heading into the season. So I do think the Bills will get it this year.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wanted to pick a fun answer though, so I picked the Raiders.
So who do you think your matchup in the Super Bowl is going to be? So obviously you have the Raiders winning, but who is your matchup? Who do you think they'll face?
The Packers.
You think this is the year the
I think
Packers
this is
make
the
it?
year they can make it, but they still can't. They still can't pull through all the way. But I think that's too many years of having such a good team and not being able to make it far.
All right. I have the Bills facing the Rams again. I think the Rams will make it back because they've honestly just gotten better even
Yeah.
after winning the not World Series, Super Bowl. Um, but yeah, I think the Rams will make it back, but I think the Bills are just the better team. And obviously, that's a really fair matchup. I think both teams are really, really good, but I think the Bills will take it over the Rams.
You don't see Von Miller and Odell as big losses for them.
Well, Odell's still a free agent. They might still re-sign him.
Yeah, but even if
Von
they do,
Miller, I mean, look at the contract Von Miller got. He got 6 years and he's already old.
yeah, I can't believe they gave him that contract.
And the
That's
Bills
what
gave
winning
him
this
it, so I think it's
that's
going
what
to be a revenge
yeah,
game.
that's what winning the Super Bowl does for you. It guarantees you big money on other teams.
Yeah, but in fairness, they traded Robert Woods, but they picked up Allen Robinson. They got Bobby Wagner. And obviously their defense is still the same. They have the best cornerback in football in Jalen Ramsey and the best D lineman in Aaron Donald. So it's hard. It's hard to compete with that team, but I think the Bills beat them.
All right.
So next thing I want to talk about just quickly. It's hard to talk about on the spot, but you're seeding in the playoffs. Who do you think is going to be the 1 through 7 seed? So first off, you have your division winners. Well, first let's go through our division winners. Let's start in the NFC. Who do you have winning the NFC East?
NFC East,
Yes.
Eagles.
I also have the Eagles winning it. And NFC West, I have the Rams winning it. I think they'll be the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, I gotta take the Rams as well. I can't see anyone else in that division winning it.
Maybe maybe the Cardinals make it the wild card, but I don't know. I can't see the
Cardinals
Rams.
could definitely squeak in, but
Yeah,
I don't think they compete with the Rams.
no. NFC North, this was actually a tough one for me between the Vikings and Packers, but I lean towards the Packers just because of Aaron Rodgers.
I don't think the Packers take a huge step down. You lose Devontae Adams is one of the best or the best receiver in the league. Arguably Cooper Cup, big Cooper Cup guy, but Aaron Rodgers, he makes players, like he makes these great players. I think you could give him a bunch of high school wide receivers, and I think he could turn them into decent starting players in the NFL.
NFC South, in my opinion, this wasn't much of a debate. I have the Bucks winning it. I think the Bucks are still up there in as one of the best teams in football. Shocker, Brady retired 2 months later, comes out of retirement. That just surprised me. But that's why they're going to keep competing in this league just because of Tom Brady and how good he is. So the Bucks are going to win the NFC South.
With if it being Brady's last year, most likely, I can't see him coming out and having a terrible year. I totally see them winning that division.
So in the AFC, for the AFC East, I have the Bills. I don't think people are saying the Dolphins but who
I
honestly
don't
did
like
they?
the Dolphins hype.
Neither do I. Because honestly, all they really got is Tyreek Hill, maybe a few defensive players, but two is their quarterback, and I don't think he's good.
Tua is not a starting quarterback, and everyone will realize this after this year.
Yeah.
Tua is worse than Daniel Jones, I believe.
Like Tua gets all these weapons, but he's not going to be able to reach it to Tyreek Hill 50 yards down the field.
He's not. He can't.
So I think the Bills take this division pretty easily, honestly.
Yeah. Patriots decline.
Yep.
Jets
AFC.
terrible. No, no, they don't win.
Yeah. So AFC West. I honestly thought about this one for a little bit when I was trying to think. So I'm high on the Chargers this year. I really like that Chargers team. They made some big all-season signings, but the Chiefs have Patrick Mahomes. And that dude, like Aaron Rodgers, he can make anyone good. Like obviously
Yep.
Travis Kelce was already good before Patrick Mahomes, but Tyreek Hill was just a punt returner before Patrick Mahomes. And then Patrick Mahomes comes along and Tyreek Hill's all of a sudden a top 5 wide receiver in the league. So I think the Chiefs still win that division. And I think he makes Juju look like a top 5 wide receiver. And Travis Kelce's still the best tight end in football. And I think Patrick Mahomes proves that he's the best quarterback in this league. And that defense, I think, can really step up this year. But yeah, I have the Chiefs winning the AFC West very closely against the Chargers, though.
Okay. I have the Chiefs winning as well. Very close with the close Raiders behind. Maybe one win less. And Chargers honestly might even be tied for second place with the Raiders. But I'm pretty big on Juju. I think he definitely gets hated on because he's not a very likable person. But I think he's great. And Mahomes will make you look even better. So I think it's not going to be a huge drop down from Tyreek, which sounds crazy, but
Hot take over here. So AFC North, this one's hard. So I gave this one a little bit of thought. So I played into the fact that Watson is not getting suspended. So if Watson isn't suspended, obviously he had a year off of football, but I still think he can be a top 10 quarterback in this league. So I went with the Browns winning this division, but that's only if Watson is not suspended. If he is, I think the Bengals will win it.
okay. I think Watson will get suspended.
I do think he will
I
as
think
well.
minimum of 4 games, obviously maximum of never again, but he could I would guess 8 games seems right.
I'm going a
And
year. I think he's going to be suspended for a year. That's what it's looking like.
yeah, I don't know.
I
You
don't
know how
think you
that
can give him less than the Calvin Ridley suspension. I mean, he got suspended for
I
a
have
year.
been saying this. I think Calvin Ridley should try to like appeal his case or something.
I don't
That
think
was
he
one of the most.
can.
I don't think he can either, but he's got to find a way because
Yeah,
that's one of the
I
most
I think
ridiculous
that
suspensions.
suspension was BS.
Terrible suspension. You're gonna make this star player sit out for the whole year. Like that's just bad for the fans. No one wants to watch their favorite player sit out the entire year because he gambled a couple $100 on his own team.
The Eagles were actually close to making a deal for Calvin Ridley before the suspension, so I'm kind of sad
I
about
did
that. But then
notice
they got
that.
AJ Brown, so it's like the same thing.
Yeah,
So who do you have winning?
I have with him being suspended, the Ravens winning. I think Lamar is a big bounce back here after coming off that injury. I've never seen such an overhated player in my entire life. People will find anything to dog on this guy. I think he comes out as a big year and they win the division with the Bengals being a close second.
I do think it's possible. Hold on, let me do. Oh shoot, never mind. All right, so I do think it's possible. So assuming the Browns win division, I think the Bengals will be right behind, but I think Ravens miss. I don't know though, because this AFC is really close. So
Yeah,
let's move
it's a
on to
tough
the AFC
division.
South really quick. I feel like the Colts win this one, but I could see the Titans competing, but I don't think they will. I don't think the Titans will make the playoffs this year, but I have the Colts winning the AFC South.
Well, as you know, with what I said earlier, I said the Titans aren't going to be good, and obviously I'm going to stand by that. So I think the Colts win this division pretty easily.
So now moving on the seeding. So I think in the NFC, I think like I said, Rams are the 1 seed. I think they'll be. I think Bucks will be the 2. I think Packers 3 and Eagles 4. And then moving on to the 3 wild card
You
teams.
want me to name my
Yeah,
one
you
through
can name
four?
yours really quick, your
All
order.
right. I have Rams at 1, Packers at 2, and sorry, I had like a brain fart. What was the other division?
You had Bucks winning NFC South.
Okay, yeah, I'll start from the top. So I have the Rams at 1, Packers at 2, Bucks at 3, Eagles 4.
All right. So then our 3 wild card teams, I think Cardinals will be the 5. I think Cowboys will be the 6. And I think Vikings will be the 7. That's what I got.
I have I have the Vikings at 5. I have the Cardinals at 6 and Cowboys at 7.
So you have the Saints just barely missing the
Yeah, just
playoffs as
switched
well.
up a little bit.
Yeah. So AFC, I have Bills at the 1. I actually have Colts at the 2. I think they'll have a really, really good year.
I
I
like
think
that.
Chiefs will be 3. And then again, I think I'll have the whoever wins the NFC North. If we're playing into Watson not being suspended, Browns at 4. If he is suspended, Bengals at 4.
All right, so I have the Bills at 1 as well. I've got the Chiefs at 2. I got the Ravens at 3 and the Colts at 4.
All right. So my wild card teams, I have the Chargers at the 5. I have the Bengals at the 6. So playing into Watson being not being suspended again, I have the Bengals at 6. And then at 7, I'll take. I really want to say another AFC West team,
Oh yeah.
but at the same time, I really think the Ravens are gonna make it. I'm gonna
I
go
would
with
be hard to say the Ravens don't make it.
I'm gonna say the Ravens, but I think the Broncos and Raiders follow up very closely. But then with Watson suspended, actually, so I'll take the Bengals winning the division. I'll have Chargers at 5, Ravens at 6, and then I'll take another AFC West team, and I'll take the Broncos.
Okay. I got the Raiders at 5, Chargers at 6, and Bengals at 7.
All right, I like that. So Ravens not making it.
No,
Oh wait,
no,
no, you have them
they
winning
won. They won
yeah, I forgot you have them winning the division.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now to close it off, we're gonna do a little would you rather on offense. I'm gonna list 2 players. You're just gonna name who you would rather have. A quick reason why. We'll move on. We have 10 of these. So first one, Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers.
Are we talking just this year or
So
the
for Patrick
future?
Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, I'm talking currently, right now.
Who I'd rather have this season?
Yes.
Okay. Aaron Rodgers. I think he's, as of right now, he is the best quarterback. I don't think there's any questions.
I
2
mean, he's
straight
back-to-back
MVPs.
MVP.
Back-to-back MVP. You can't deny it. I think I'd rather have him.
All right. I would rather have Patrick Mahomes. And I think just because he has better weapons, honestly. But yeah, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes for this season. It's very close, but yeah, I'm taking Mahomes. Number 2, Jonathan Taylor or Derrick Henry.
I gotta take Jonathan Taylor. I think he's gonna really establish himself as the best running back in the league this year. And as I said earlier, I think Derrick Henry takes a big decline this year as well.
I'm also taking Jonathan Taylor, but only because of the fact because he has a better quarterback this year, it's going to make that passing game look a lot better and open up that run game for him. I don't think Derrick Henry takes a step back off his injury, but I think he'll still be that dominant running back. But I think Jonathan Taylor is just going to be absolutely ridiculous this year with the best O line in football.
I agree.
Number 3, Nick Chubb or Christian McCaffrey.
I gotta go Nick Chubb, especially coming off that year. CMC's really just showed that he's a very injury prone person. He's a very physical player. He's gonna find himself injured a lot. I just can't take that chance with him.
So I'm taking CMC, assuming he stays healthy for the year, which is very slim chance. But I will take Christian McCaffrey because you see what he does when he's healthy, he puts up record numbers. And especially with Baker Mayfield, who loves doing drop offs and stuff, I think he can be returned to that level. So yeah, I'd rather have Christian McCaffrey. This one has been a debate between a lot of people. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert.
Justin Herbert, no questions asked.
Thank you. I'm also taking Justin Herbert. Yes, Joe Burrow made the Super Bowl with that team. Justin Herbert's better, though. I mean, you look at the talent on Justin Herbert, he's ridiculous.
I think he already has one of the best skill sets in the league.
I agree. Number 5, Lamar Jackson or Dak Prescott.
Lamar Jackson. I think while Dak, I think, has established himself as one of the better starters in the league, I just can't see him going much more up or down for the following.
Just average for the rest of his
I think
career.
he's just an average player, and I don't think he gets better or worse. But I think Lamar's already established himself as one of the better quarterbacks. So, yeah, I think I got to go Lamar, especially because he brings the whole running dynamic to it as well.
Trying hard not to be biased. It's going to sound biased, but yeah, I'm taking Lamar as well. And I mean, he has an MVP. They both prove that they haven't been winners yet, though. I don't think neither.
Yeah.
Lamar has one playoff win, I think, right?
Yes, one against the.
I think Dak has one as well. But I don't think neither of them are winners yet. But I do think Lamar is a little bit better than Dak. And along with that scrambling, he's also a pretty solid passer. Yeah, he declined from his MVP year as a passer, but he can still return to that level because he's still really young. So I think he can become a really good passer again, maybe return to that MVP level. So number 6, Austin Eckler or Alvin Kamara. This one was just thought up on the spot, but what are your takes?
Is Alvin Kamara suspended?
I think he's gonna be. But assuming he's not suspended, who are you
Assuming he's
having?
not, I think I would take. As much I love Alvin Kamara, but I think I gotta go Austin Eckler. I think that passing game is gonna be so great in LA that he's really gonna
Thrive.
thrive, and I think he
Yeah.
has a very similar year to what he had last year.
Yeah, I think Austin Eckler. I don't think he's necessarily better, but I think he's in the better system
Yeah,
in
I don't think
LA.
he's better, but
He's
numbers
yeah,
wise, I think I could totally see him putting better numbers up.
yeah. So number 7. So we both took Eckler there.
Yeah.
So number 7, Devontae Adams or Cooper Cup. I think, in my opinion, I'm taking Devontae Adams.
I think Cooper Cup is in a system that works great for him. Obviously, talent wise, like overall, they're not very comparable. I think Devonte Adams kind of blows him out of the water in almost every aspect. But you can't deny the numbers. So I think I'm gonna go Cooper Cup.
Whoa. I have Devontae Adams. I think he's the best wide receiver in football. Obviously, yes, Cooper Cup is in the better system, but I think Devontae Adams talent wise is much not much better, but he's better. He's a better route runner. I think he has better hands. I'm taking Devontae Adams. So 3 left. We're moving on to number 8, AJ Brown and DK Metcalf. Try not to be biased, obviously.
I do think DK is a great player. He's already established himself as that. I do think he's kind of taken a step down from that great second year he had, I believe.
Yeah.
And he's got Drew Lock as his quarterback, so there's not much you can do in that situation. So unbiasedly, I think I have to go AJ Brown.
I'm also taking AJ Brown just because of the system. I mean, you have Drew
Yeah.
Lock as your quarterback. You're not really going to do very well there. So I have AJ Brown there as well. Number 9, Stephon Diggs or Justin Jefferson.
I'm very high on Diggs, but I think he's reaching that point in his career where you'll start to see a tiny bit of a slowdown, which will snowball into him falling off and getting old. But I think he's peaked, and I don't think he's going to go much higher than this. I think Justin Jefferson just keeps proving
Growing.
why he's a top 3 wide receiver in the league. And I got to go Justin Jefferson, especially in that system, that super pass heavy offense.
So 2 guys that were traded for each other, basically. Stephon Diggs and Justin Jefferson. I honestly already think Justin Jefferson is a top 3 wide receiver in this league. Maybe that's a hot take, maybe it's not. But
It's arguable.
I do think he's top 3. I think he has the talent. So yeah, I'm gonna take Justin Jefferson. Still wish the Eagles had him, but he probably wouldn't be as good here.
Yeah, probably not.
But yeah, I do wish he was here, but I have Justin Jefferson over Diggs. I'd rather have him just because of the system and because I do think he's already a better receiver.
Okay.
So number 10, last one, Mike Evans or Keenan Allen.
Again, very high on Keenan Allen. I think he's extremely underrated. He's been underrated his entire career. And now he's going to have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And I think he continues to put up good numbers. I think he continues to be slept on as a player. But I think I have to go with him. I think maybe this is the year. Maybe the Chargers are so good that everyone's really like looking into them as a team, and everyone starts to notice like this Keenan Allen guy is pretty good. They haven't noticed that over the last 5 years, where he's been consistently, arguably a top 10, top 12 receiver in the league. So yeah,
So you went Keenan?
I did go Keenan.
Yeah, I'm also going Keenan. He's been really underrated for years. Now he's getting arguably the best quarterback of his career. Obviously, prime Philip Rivers was very good, but Justin Herbert's still really young and maybe already a top 5 quarterback in this league. So Keenan Allen's already putting up ridiculous numbers. So I do have Keenan Allen over Mike Evans. Obviously, Mike Evans, very, very good receiver. I think he has 8 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Also has one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but I got to take Keenan in that situation and just with how good he is. So, Kenny, I want to thank you for coming on and talking
Thank
NFL.
you for having me.
No problem, man. I hope you enjoy. Next, we're going to be talking about MLB. So let's do that. Thank you, Kenny, again.
Appreciate it.
I want to thank you all for watching the second episode. Obviously, I lied. We did MLB first and then NFL second. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I want you guys to go check out the last episode if you want. This one's a little bit shorter than the first episode, but I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you tune in to the next one. Thank you.